What are you doing between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. in the morning? What are you doing? I mean, that's the hustle.
5 o'clock hustle.
5 to 8, 5 to 12, 5 to 3 until you get back up the next morning.
Every week I got a new idea. Like, why did it take us so long to do this? 5 o'clock.
I was doing that in 2005, but everybody thought it was weird.
5 o'clock.
Oh man, that's awesome.
5 o'clock hustle podcast. Man, they're having so much fun. Okay, so here we are at Hub 101 with our first guest. Why don't you introduce yourself and your company, and we'll just kick it off from here. Sorry, this is so weird for me. This is the first time I've interviewed anyone.
Yeah, remember the first time? I was sweating.
I'm sweating right now.
Sweating. Well, thanks for having me on, guys. The first episode. I feel honored. You know?
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Well,
We
I'm
appreciate
honored.
you. We appreciate you coming.
Anytime, brother. No problem. My name's Jay Lieberman. I live out in Agora Hills. Got a couple daughters, a wife. One of the kids is a freshman at Oregon. Even though they lost Final Four, I'm still wearing the hat. It's plastered in my head.
Hey, I'm wearing Texas, and
Right?
we made it nowhere near the tournament.
Final Four since 1939.
Yeah, man. That was
So I
awesome.
was pretty stoked up. It's worth the tuition just to see the Final Four.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you get out to any games or no?
No. Football.
Football. Okay.
Yeah, that's about it at Eugene.
Awesome.
So I have a couple businesses in town. I run a real estate team over at Keller Williams in Westlake Village, just down the way from here, with my wife. And we buy and sell residential properties and commercial properties and do a lot of commercial work out of there. I also have a small law firm in town with a partner. We do real estate transactional work
Okay.
for some clients, really kind of like leases and things like that. It's pretty boring, but
Right, but it's
you know,
all encompassing, I guess.
it's all
what you do,
encompassing.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had this law degree from 1995. I got to use it.
Right.
eventually. So that's pretty much my primary. Got a couple other businesses that I kind of dabble in here and there, and have a couple pizza restaurants.
Awesome.
Pizza Rev.
Wow.
Pizza Rev, yeah, man.
You guys had Pizza Rev?
I
I
love
have not
Pizza
been there
Rev.
yet. I've
one by the
been
mall?
meaning to go,
Yeah.
over at the Thousand Oaks Mall.
Yeah, right. So we have a couple of those stores out in Orange County that we do as a family. It's a hobby for my brother and my father and I. So
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, you know,
I love Pizza
that's-
Rev.
yeah.
That's kind of what led me to you and reaching out to you as a guest because, you know, I was looking for local podcasters really just to kind of get more knowledge from the people that have done this because this is, you know, like I said, you're our first guest. And it was just the fact that when I looked more into everything that you do, I was like, wow, he does so many things. And that fits so perfectly in with what we're trying to talk about is like a lot of what we talk about is things like time management and dealing with so many things.
And it's hard. I mean, you throw a lot of stuff at the wall. I mean, I can't keep my mind straight. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I mean, it's kind of like I just wrote I think I put you on the list, the email list. But we have a weekly email that goes out every Wednesday. Tomorrow morning it's coming out, all about entrepreneurship, I guess I'll call it. And it's all about kind of, I'm tired of hearing things like, you know, actually got a clause in this email where it's like, you know, a lot of the younger guys, you know, that you hear the word entrepreneur kind of thrown around and it's a million different ideas,
yeah.
but it kind of now is being equated to glamour and lattes and
Right.
Zuckerberg and all this kind of stuff.
Instagram.
It's a hard hustle.
Right, absolutely.
And being an entrepreneur is what you're doing now, you know, and it's all about that drive. I figured out some years ago that I had 500,000 things I wanted to do on a piece of paper, and it grew daily, and I couldn't keep up. Like you
I'm
guys,
the same way.
right? You just got
It's
to
see my
daily-
Evernote right now.
It's rough, right? Exactly. Every idea and everything I see, just Evernote, you know, it's like all in there. But I had to slow myself down. I had to pick 2 things I'm doing this 6 months. 3 things I'm doing the next 6 months. Sometimes I only get one thing done a year,
Right.
but get it done really well and learn that thing to death and just stick with it. Like my podcast show, you know, I started it back in January last year. We're in, episode 59 is airing tomorrow. We have 65, 66 recorded, but we just decided every week, no doubt. Even if listenership drops,
Right.
even if I get no emails, no interaction from it, didn't matter.
Continue
it was
with
going,
the content, yeah.
going. And you'll see it. I don't know. You'll see it where your podcasts are housed. You'll see it go like this, like a wave. Sometimes you'll see a huge peak of listenership drop off, and then all of a sudden the whole world's listening, and then they're not.
Right.
But you just had to stick with it, like you're talking to yourself. So
So you were talking to us about before why you started podcasting, and so I kind of want you to go deeper into what would you say your primary business is real estate?
it's the real estate business, yeah.
Okay, so Could you kind of dive in deeper and like tell us
Yeah,
more
of
about
course.
that?
Yeah, about a year and a half ago. Regular real estate agents you see running around, they're throwing postcards at your front door, they're knocking at your door, they're, magnets on the side of their cars and all that crap. It's just not us.
Sure.
We've never been like that. I came from real estate development for about 16, 17 years. I was an officer at a development company, and we used to build and buy and sell shopping centers and things like that. So I kind of came into, then I got bored.
Yeah.
And I moved out to the suburbs for the kids, and I started getting, I want to do something a little more simple. So I got into residential real estate because it seems a lot more simple than building a shopping center. But I hated the way it operated. I mean, it's a lot. I'm not saying a lot of agents are great people, but you see a lot. It's a lot. Everyone's falling asleep. It's a lot of old agents and gray hairs, and not that I don't, but a lot of red hair and purple hair, I should say. Mainly, the ladies. But we got into it. My wife was a family attorney. So she was tired of dealing with child custody issues and all that kind of stuff and coming home crying at night. So she was done, and we joined together 6-7 years ago around there. But I didn't want to operate like the regular guy. I'm not going door knocking. I'm not cold calling.
Yeah.
It's not my gig.
Yeah.
So we stopped all that about a year and a half ago and decided on a completely different approach. And that approach was, we found that about 86, I know exactly the stats, but 86% were coming from referrals, past clients. They're coming from, a couple from the internet, things like that, but it was all relationship-based business. So I decided I'm going to invest in that because that's my bread and butter. So I found a way to essentially build platforms to communicate and rope people into my world.
Okay, yeah.
In my people. So we started, we write a weekly email, we write a monthly newsletter. That's all stories. That happened to me, by the way. You'll have to edit this one.
Yeah, I'm turning this off. Cell phones and microphones.
It just goes rough.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I started doing we read an 8-page weekly newsletter with a lot of personal stories. And started putting my ass out there, lack of a better word, telling really deep stories about our past, stories that build character so people can see. We call it a sitcom-based newsletter. So you start at the pilot episode. We're on episode 44 right now. We start on the pilot episode and start telling people about how you reacted in life, how it tied in maybe to real estate, spotlighting a client, things like that. And over time, people either tune in or they tune out. I'm cool either way. I want the people that want to tune in to be part of my tribe, be part of my people, that they call me no matter what.
Right.
It's just no question. Jay and Michelle, my wife's Michelle. So that was one of the platforms. It's that, and then the podcast is another platform that we built to do that also. The podcast is my door knocking. That's my cold call.
Yeah.
And that's where I get my clients from.
That's
and
awesome,
it's a great
man.
podcast. I listened to several episodes and I'm going to continue to listen to them. It's really fun hearing, especially because it's local and I know a lot of these businesses, and being able to hear the stories. Like the Integrin Brewery episode was really fun.
Oh, it is fun.
Yeah,
Those guys are crazy.
It made me want to just
start making beer, right?
Well, not just that. Go over to Integrin and drink one.
Totally. And we're actually bringing on another single brewery guy who resides up in the Malibu Hills.
Yeah.
Who makes 10 bottles or something a year and sells them for $1,000.
Oh man, get out of here.
So I'm trying to get him on the show. Got to hear what this dude's about.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this area specifically in the Conejo Valley has really popped up a lot of breweries and just tasting rooms and things like that. So it seemed to all come at the same time.
Yeah, wine and all these little microbrews. Yeah,
it's turned into a real spot, Westlake Village, California.
Yeah.
And
check out Westlake on the map.
The hub of drinking and music.
Yeah. Right, exactly. I thought that was Austin, but Westlake.
Westlake's taking over.
So how do you manage all these different things?
It's rough, It's I'm a micromanager. It's rough for me to delegate.
Yeah.
Again, we have a producer that helps out, kind of source a lot of the guests, gets them set up on. We do ours via Skype. I know we're live right now, in person, but getting them set up, getting things going, pre-question engine, interview questions, things like that, all that stuff. It's not easy, man. It really isn't. We need about 3 people, and I can't find them right now. So it's always the hire in the next phase is always the toughest.
Right.
Yeah.
And
kind of alluding back to what you were talking about before, just with how you wanted to make it a more personable thing. Your wife and yourself, you said about a year and a half ago, you guys started going in this direction.
Yeah, that's about right.
So just personally for me, I want to know how that dynamic works with, you know, your wife. You said she was a family, you know, or family law or something like that. So what was like the buy-in for you guys? You know what I'm saying? Where you were like, what was that moment where you're like, you know what, this is what we're actually going to do. We're going to do this together and kind of, you know, take the road that you're on now, I guess.
It was a dynamic time, you know, because my wife is way more conservative. She's way more, what's the return on investment? I'm sending out a postcard. How many people are going to call? How am I going to pay for it? Is it 10 times, 100 times, you know, return on that? Okay. This is very kind of in the ether. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is a totally different kind of thing. And I'm a fairly decent risk taker still. And I know where I'm going. I get super educated on it. It took me about 4 months just to get this in my head together. Sure. And she essentially is trying to support me as much as she can.
As she can, huh?
You know, she's really been open. The communication between husband and wife. We've been married for 23. She'll kill me if I don't. About 23 years this August.
Nice, man. Congrats, dude. That's
and so a lot of trust in there. You know, a lot of times where, you know, she wanted to give up. A lot of times I wanted to give up. Absolutely. It's really tough. Absolutely. And to manage this, it's a 24-hour gig, man. I mean, this is like all day, every day, all day long. But learning how to manage that integrate that stuff in your life, it took years of breathing. Right. Put it that way.
Yeah. And the reason that I asked that question is because I know a lot of people personally who have these great ideas and things like that, but they don't necessarily feel that they can take that leap because they have, you know, the obligation of a wife or, you know, a child and everything like that. And they kind of feel, I don't want to say guilty, but they kind of feel like, maybe I'm not doing the right thing. So just as far as that buy-in process, because, you know, when I talk to my wife about things, she's like, yeah, I'm absolutely for you, but kind of like your wife, what's this?
What's
going
to pay the bills tomorrow?
And so I'm kind of the same way as you, you know, where I do a lot of research. I get very, very educated on it to the best of my ability. So the reason I ask that is because I want our listeners to be able to get that type of insight, because that is something that's important.
It's not just all candy and rainbows.
Right, exactly.
It's a lot of hard work up front. And yeah, like you know, like I had a kid in October, and you know, I sprung all this stuff on my wife. I'm going to start this podcast. I'm going to do this thing. I'm always doing things like that. I'm always like trying to pursue different ideas that I have and stuff. But it is tough, like, you know, trying to make her understand that this is like, you know, hopefully going
really hard. And I found that, you know, your family and your super close friends are your biggest critics.
Absolutely.
And I think it's good though at the end of the day, because I mean, I always ask. I mentor a bunch of guys at our office, just new agents, and mentor some other guys and things like that, just in life. And I spend a lot of time doing. I get as much out of it as they do, you know, at the end of the day. But I always say, they're always like, well, you know, I got to be able to pay the bills. What am I going to do? How many houses am I going to sell? And I say, what are you doing between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. in the morning?
Right.
What are you doing? I mean, that's the hustle. Yeah, it's especially if you're young, you know, that's the hustle. Take 3 years, work your job, bust your butt, you know, pay the bills. Everybody's happy. Your wife's happy. Everyone's going, you're able to pay the bills, but that's what the side hustle is. It's 11 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Absolutely.
And I still work that hustle because you have to sometimes. You ask how you get it all done. Those are the 3 hours I need. You know?
Putting in the work.
You have to. Why not?
Stop whining about it and just do it.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen, there's a video, I forget who posted it, but it's called 23 and a half hours. It's a video on YouTube. You could go look it up. But it's essentially about health. I've been into the fitness, but I've been getting more and more serious and just, you know, cracking down with it as of late. And a lot of the things were, oh, well, I don't have enough time. I got to go do the job. I got to do this, blah, blah, blah. And they were saying the number one thing that can keep you in shape and out of the hospital is just a 30-minute walk a day. And you have 23 and a half hours to do whatever else it is that you want to do. So it's that time management, saying, you know, all you need is the 30 minutes, or all you need is that 11 to 2, you know, just to get it going for, like you said, 3 months or something like
stick
that.
With it. I mean, that 30 minutes, just do, what is 30 minutes over like 3 months?
Right.
Look what happens. Like, just like that. It's all about, it's cumulative effect.
Right.
You know, and I also found another thing that's really difficult dealing with family and how to take that hustle on the risk of, you know, anger from your wife. Put it, you know what I'm saying? Is that it's okay to live in contradictions. Like I wrote in our email again today. I had this big epiphany today that's very part of this, but I live in it's good today, not good tomorrow. Sometimes it's good tomorrow, not good today. Like, it's okay to not make up your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just about the consistency of sticking with it until you do finally make up your mind.
Right.
And I think your wife sees that consistency and thinks, maybe he's on to something.
Maybe he's onto something. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
You told us a little about your business. You're starting something called the Charitable Impact Club.
Yeah, super excited about it. I got my shirt on today.
Nice, man.
Okay, yeah, look at that.
I live in it.
Tell us about that.
Man.
I don't know anything about it. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, no, we're launching it. My wife and I, we got we're giving people, right? So I'm on boards. I'm like volunteer here and the AYBA basketball board for years, and we do all that stuff. But that's just time, right? But you send out $100 to St. Jude's and another animal shelter and things like that. I don't know where it goes. It's $100. You seal the envelope and it's gone. It was bothering me.
Yeah.
As you get a little older, after I got 40, I started to, things change. You want to give back a little bit more. You want your community to be part of you,
Right.
So what we did is we decided with another group of guys, we launched this concept called Impact Club. And we agreed to start chapters in our separate areas.
Sure.
4 of them have gone off already so far this year. I'm the 5th. We're still in the guinea pig stage, but essentially what it is the concept is taking individual donations of $100 a person, meeting quarterly. April 25th is our first meeting. We're meeting at the Westlake Brewing Company, another brewery across from the Four Seasons Hotel over here. Sick place. And so everybody signs up as founding members. As part of that, you get a nice steel membership card. You get a shirt. You get access to there's other accoutrements as part of the membership you get, concierge service and stuff that's coming at a later date, but put that aside. But the general concept is that by taking founding members, taking their $100 at an hour-long event, pooling it together, we're trying to get 100 people. Now all of a sudden, I'm donating $10,000 in one night to a local charity here in the Conejo Valley.
That's incredible.
Wow.
And the process is how it works is that, it's an hour-long event. They come with their $100 bill or a check for $100. They check in, they hand us the money, we put it in a lockbox, literally, I'm telling you. They get 2 free drink tickets on me, beer, wine, and whatever they want, food, street tacos this time, it's gonna be killer.
Awesome.
And during the meantime, between now and April 25th, when the event's going on, all the members have the opportunity to nominate 3 charities of their choice. We pick them out of a hat, the top 3 get chosen, they have 5 minutes to speak at the event. Bleeding heart, everyone's crying. I've seen some of them in the past 4.
Of course.
And everybody votes on a ballot. Majority wins all the cash. And handing a bag of money of 10 grand over to these people these are small charities, man. These are charities with like a budget of like $100 grand.
Wow.
To try to survive for like the whole year.
For the year, yeah.
And some more, some less. So it's about making monstrous impact with like one epic night of entertainment
That's
quarterly.
incredible, man.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
And so when is this event happening?
The first event, which is the launch of it, impactclubconejovalley.com. You can go to check it out
Okay.
and sign up.
Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's April 25th at 6:30 p.m. It's an hour and a half. Fun, drinking, friends. So far, we've had it up last Monday. We launched it, and we have 42 members so far.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% certain when we're going to get this episode out, but I'm sure there'll be more events in the future.
Every quarter. Yeah.
We'll try our best to get it, though. So.
Oh, yeah, and I appreciate whatever you can.
If the one person, like my mom or something, listens to it,
We'll get it to the people who will give the 100.
she'll do it. She
Drink,
loves stuff like
Let me tell you about mothers, man. I swear, every episode of my show, that morning, I get an email about 7:30 in the morning. It's a 2-scroll email of my mom's take on that episode
Oh, man.
and how
that's
she
incredible.
integrates it in her life. It's
That's
sick.
awesome, man.
I look forward to it every
That's
month.
awesome.
Yes, man.
Hey, Mom, if you're listening, I need that kind of
kind of love,
response. I
right?
need that kind of love.
You'll get it.
So you have this charitable impact club, you have your real estate business, you have the podcast. I see that you've put together some books on your websites, and you've done all these different things. Do you do anything else for that's not related to you working?
Like fun?
Like
Yeah,
fun?
do you have any fun, basically?
I love writing. So that's why I write a lot of content. We have this one book essentially, which is just a real estate book on our approach to selling property. It's another platform.
Wait, so your fun is just working.
It's writing. I mean, I honestly, I like to play basketball and things like that, but I don't get a chance too much often.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I hang out with my kids. I dig hiking. Try to hike almost every weekend at least. The bike hasn't come out in a while, so it's been a lot of this hustle, man, for a while. I told myself for 5 years I'm just going to hustle the hell out of this thing, and I'm a year and a half in. And I'm trying to write another book, and then another pleasure book. on top of that at the same time. So all that content that I produce gets repurposed into different medium and stuff like that. So that's what I enjoy. I really enjoy the hustle more than I do anything else.
Your fun is hustle, man.
It kind of is, man. I mean, it's like the only thing that relaxes me. You know, people say put your phone away, try to relax. It's like if the phone's away, I'm unrelaxed.
Right.
Yeah.
You kind of have that little anxiety. Like,
Yeah, and I'm not trying to
something
be like,
And it's just
Type
a
A.
part of culture now. Like it does so many things that we needed to do, and it's fun to participate in the things that it gives you access to.
Right.
yeah, I'm glued to it. Since I launched the Impact Club, I'm glued to this thing because new membership forms are coming in and it makes me stoked.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
all I'm happy about.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. Like, I mean, I have like 20 Instagram followers on the 5 o'clock hustle Instagram, and I was just like,
Here's another one.
just like that, a couple of people like giving some, it gives me that motivation to keep going.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know if it's kind of weird to like rely on other people's, on other people to do it as what you're doing, but it does feel good. And I don't know
Yeah,
if
it
you know
does.
why. It just feels good.
And then sometimes they don't respond and then it feels bad.
Yeah.
And it's staying through that consistency is what's difficult. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So you said you have 2 daughters. How do
Yeah.
they feel about you being a hustle dad?
I think they dig it, man. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
honestly, they hate real estate. I mean, I've asked them a million times, "Hey, you want to join Daddy in his real estate business?" And that was a whole other thing, almost a reason for the change. I mean, I've written about it in our newsletter before and in a book, but is that there was one day, like a couple of years ago, I said, "Hey, you guys want to join us in our real estate team? You guys want to help out?" And they just laughed into my face, right? I felt like crap,
Right.
So that's when I said, "Look, honey, we got to change this and flip this thing around," because they go over to their friend's house for dinner and they see mom and dad's notepad on the top and they're embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? So that's another one of the reasons why we did flip this whole thing on its head. It's just, you want to make your kids proud. And I'm kind of preparing all this content and stuff like that so they got something to read about us later on. A little bit of legacy in that
That's
regard.
awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
think legacy is a huge driver for a lot
Totally.
of people.
Yeah.
Absolutely for me.
Especially when the kids get older, your kid is 6 months.
yeah, she's almost 6 months.
Almost 6 months.
He's got a one and a half year old.
1.5-year-old.
19
So
months.
we're-
yeah.
So you're deep in already.
I'm deep in it, yeah, man. So I think about that legacy thing a lot. Like even though he's so young, it's just when I walk in the house and he's like, Dada, like he's so happy to see me and it's totally new for me. I'm like, no one ever gets excited when I walk in the room, but this little dude, and I'm like, I have to make him think that I'm a lot cooler than I am, So like, what is it that so that drives me a lot.
Me, it's
man.
always about telling them, and I used to placard all over and poster boards all over the fridge and everything like that. It's all about facing your fears. So we've tried to train them to just face the fears. And once I did a show with my daughter's high school principal and had him on the line about 3-4 months ago, and she freaked out, but it kind of opened up this whole fear for her. Like,
Right.
holy crap, dad and mom and dad are on the phone on the Skype recording with the principal she sees all the time. And it allows her to see things like even you guys doing this podcast right now, allows your kids to see that you're doing something really out there.
Right.
Sure, yeah.
And I can too. So it's all about that.
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
and another thing, just about the content in general, like you said, most real estate businesses, it was all very traditional types of marketing and things of that sort, and you're kind of like reaching and like not necessarily you're future proofing a lot of the things and being able to, because a lot of the people like Dre just bought a condo in the area.
Why don't you call me?
I didn't know at the time, man. Yeah, it was December. We closed in December, so I had no clue.
Well, he's in the construction business too. So for a while they're thinking about building one, but
Yeah, we were gonna
he
build
took the
one.
easy way out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's time to build later.
We chickened out, that fear thing. I was like, no way I'm gonna build a house. Right?
That's just logic.
Yeah,
A lot of
exactly,
times.
exactly.
Okay, so when it comes to your businesses and things like that, all the stuff, how would you have approached it if you had to start today? Not necessarily I want to do real estate, because I to be honest, I don't know what I want to do. That's kind of why I'm doing this podcast, because I want to learn from a lot of people and then help. Well, anyways, if you had to start today, all these businesses, or what would you do different? Was there a learning curve, or was it all necessary to lead up to that moment?
It was a huge learning curve, and I think any business that I started, or I'm going to start even from here, it's learning how to do what you're doing for yourself first instead of other people. Right. So it took me a long time to learn that. So looking for on Facebook and hoping somebody liked my posts and stuff like that. All that stuff is really important back in the day. It still is for a lot of people, man. You know, if it's not there, it's like, you know, some kids are taking it down, you know. And I learned a while back that it doesn't matter. Just taught, you know, whatever. I wish I knew this earlier, and that is that do it for yourself and your family first, and be super giving for free. That's what podcasts are about, man. That's why they're free. It's all about giving out to your listenership, right? It's all about the hustle, the side hustle, and learning stories. Give all that away for free. Yeah. You know, I don't know if do you guys listen to Gary Vaynerchuk? You ever hear him?
Absolutely.
Right? So, I mean, I don't know if you read, you know, Jab, 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 Right Hook. It's all about that.
Pick it up. Yeah.
It's give, and then the ask.
And then ask, right.
And the ask is not even an ask. You know, so for instance, that's what we do in our business. So when I walk into a listing appointment, for instance, to sell a house, I've been in communication with them already. They may have been a guest on my show. They feel like they owe me almost. I learned just as much from them, but it's almost like I bought them some beers and they owe me back. So by the time I walk in the door, it's my listing.
Sure.
If I want it, unless I tell them to go kiss off, you know.
Right.
It's all about that. It's about giving so much, it's going to come later.
Absolutely.
Patience.
It's just I guess you could also say just the value, like just adding value to
Constant
them so that
value.
they feel that, oh man, whether it's giving me a tangible thing or if he's just giving me insight, if he's giving me value, if he's giving me something to think about, I feel like I owe him something like that. Is that kind of...
Yeah, that's right. And it's also, you know, giving without the expectation of it.
Without the expectation.
And people read that, man. We're all human beings. So, you know, if I was to give you, and then a few times you kind of saw in my eyes that I was looking for something in return, a sandwich or something like that, you're going to be a little different later.
Right.
You know?
Right. Okay.
So that's just, it's about living life as a human being and just constantly giving and adding value, like you said.
My great-grandfather, he was a pastor, and one of his main slogans was, "It's just nice to be nice." You know, and I feel like if you just... I kind of live by that just in general because, you know, he was a great man in my eyes. So I'm just like, it's just nice to be nice. What does that mean? And it kind of alludes back to just adding to people, you know, just whether it's, you know, just, I don't know, people are crappy nowadays, you know. So just being nice, I feel like adds a little bit more value just to whoever it is, people that you're around, your friends.
Just saying good morning, man. The power of just good morning, how you doing to a stranger is massive.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I walk in with my Impact Club T-shirt on into Starbucks every morning, and I just say hi to someone, and it just all of a sudden there's a conversation, and they're signing up to give a charity money at my event. I don't know this person.
It does. Other opportunities.
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome.
So you got all these businesses, and
hopefully they don't all fail too. By the way, but we'll see how it goes.
Is there anything else that you want to do? Is there any other ideas in the pipeline, or something that's like so far out of reach, but it's still something?
Just a lot of writing. That's what's on my mind.
Right.
You know, it's about building our business, of course, and the money. Essentially, the money from these businesses fund a lot of this stuff that we do. And you know, I just want to just keep writing. I'm just very into that, and just becoming a much better, proficient, skilled writer.
Now, have you gotten to a point in your career where you feel like your businesses can kind of not necessarily handle themselves, because obviously you're still hustling for them, but where you can spend more time doing the writing, or, you know,
it's a great
content.
question, and I suffer with it every day.
Yeah.
Because I'm not there yet. And that's when I start off, I suffer trying to find the right talent, because the whole goal is that this isn't going to be Jay Lieberman and Michelle Lieberman's real estate business. It's going to be Lieberman Group, or, you know, Impact Realty. And there's just a slew of unbelievable talent that we have that's there. To allow me to just go focus on these platforms and media platforms and writing and content. Yeah. That's the goal. But I gave myself 5 years. And so I'm a year and a half in, and I'm still suffering trying to find talent.
Yeah.
But that's the goal. I mean, you nailed it right on the head. That's my end game.
That's
essentially,
the end game
is to step out, and the thing's just going to run like a monster, and I'm going to be essentially like, you know, the personality behind the company.
The face of the company. Yeah. That's great. Man.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm starting to sound like a robot, because I'm like looking at this outline. I'm like, these are the things that I was going to talk about. But anyways, you mentioned Jab Jab Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V. Yeah, I listen to his podcast. It's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to start is from listening to some of his content. I was like, man, he's really inspirational. But is there any other books or podcasts that you use that are out there?
Yeah. Besides the Conejo podcast? Besides mine? Let me see.
Podcast?
Well, Gary Vaynerchuk, I peruse through his YouTube videos, and I listen to him every day, just a little tidbit here and there. Sometimes it gets super annoying, I can't take it, but other times it's cool. I listen to, just for like chilling out, I love listening to these guys called the Sofa King podcast. Have you ever seen these guys? They're out in Bakersfield.
I feel like I've seen their logo.
Yeah, you might have on Facebook. These guys just chill out for an hour and a half on the couch and just bullshit about
And just
stuff.
talk.
It's just crazy. Tim Ferriss, his podcast is unbelievable.
Honestly,
It's the most downloaded podcast in the world.
He I ran into him a year ago. I think he's been exposed to him before, but just listening to him, like, it got me into triathlon, and it got me, it's so strange how listening to one person talk leads you to so many different opportunities and experiences, because I went from wanting to, like, get in better shape, to becoming a triathlete, to starting a business, to starting a podcast.
Yeah. And it depends on what the place.
So
and Tim
strange.
Ferriss is crazy like that, because every guest he has on is like, that's what I'm doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy got me hooked on mushroom coffee now.
Oh,
It's literally what he's
in my
drinking
cup.
right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't, so much so that I went to, which one is it? Four Sigmatic? Is that the?
Four Sigmatic, mushroom coffee.
Right. So I live by this stuff now, so much so that I called them and they approved me to be an affiliate. So I'm actually going to start promoting them on the show, and I get like 15% commissions
so
from
funny.
it.
Yeah,
I'm so
that's incredible.
But this, he's one I listen to religiously. Mike Dillard, Self-Made Man, listen to that podcast religiously. He has a lot, very similar to Tim Ferriss, but he's got a lot of very kind of more deep, a little bit more emotional on that show.
Have you heard of Ben Greenfield? He's a
nutrition guy? Or-
He's a nutrition guy, but he dives into a lot of the same stuff that Tim does.
Yeah, I think I heard of
And
him.
he's actually who exposed me to the mushroom coffee.
Oh, is it right?
It seems like that's the podcaster's coffee.
Which is another great show, by the way, because I suffer with some diverticulitis crap or whatever this doctor says. But it's Bulletproof podcast. I forgot the name of the guy that runs that one, but that's another great one for health and fitness.
Yeah.
And there's another one. For just chilling out for 5 minutes, the Mike Rowe podcast is cool for the story structure.
Right. Yeah. Quite a few of his.
Malcolm Gladwell, who wrote the book Tipping Point and some other stuff, he writes very detailed story structure, which I listen to for that purpose.
Yeah.
I love his books. Outliers was like
Outliers,
a
another one.
huge book for me.
Yeah,
I love that.
it was
book.
great. So those are some of the ones I listen to for like pleasure and for
Sure.
inspiration.
Yeah, and I feel like you definitely need a balance. I feel like when you're doing so much stuff business related, you do need that different perspective, because it gives you those fresh ideas.
Oh, you can get stuck down. You can go in a big
You
rabbit
go down
hole
the
with some of
rabbit hole,
these
man. It's
podcasts.
happened to me with podcasting, man.
Yeah, you got to chill out and take a break and just listen to his story for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, it's been an honor having you.
Oh, thanks, guys. Real pleasure.
You're our first guest. You're going to be, the first one on there. And
Landmark.
Yeah, man. the flagship.
Like a statue
guest
up in
episode,
here.
right?
maybe when we're a little more weathered
More
podcasters, we'll have you
seasoned,
back
yeah.
on.
I'd love
talk
to.
about
Yeah, man.
more about the Impact Club and
right on.
your real estate business.
I appreciate it.
Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Well, Facebook, Jay Lieberman, no doubt. We're super active on that. Impact Club is, you could find it at impactclubconejo.valley.com. That's the main site for that if anyone's interested in that or in the future. It'll be going on for years and in quarterly meetings. You could find me if you wanted to find in our real estate business. We actually have a content site which is called thisisjayandmichelle.com. Very odd, but thisisjayandmichelle.com. That's essentially where everything links up to. It's all of our stories.
Sure.
Links to the podcast, links to books. You can even search homes off of this thing.
Okay.
And that's mainly, we got a bunch of websites, but that's the main site where you can find a little
All
more.
right. Well, we'll have them in the show notes for you. Yeah.
Can we get to the podcast from there?
Yeah, links to all that
Links
stuff.
all there? Okay.
Links to the book, links to everything.
Yeah, it'll all be on the show notes. Everybody will be able to find it. Thanks again for having us.
Thanks, guys.
You can find us at 5hustle on all of the social media, and at 5o'clockhustle.com with the number 5. Thanks again.
Love it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.